How's it going, YouTube? Oxy here, and welcome back. Well, today I have a movie review for you guys. I know I haven't done one in a while, and this is an interesting one. So today I'm reviewing Saw X, Saw 10. Crazy to think this franchise has gone on this long. So, a disclaimer before I start. I am. This is the first Saw movie I've seen like all the way through. Yeah, believe it or not. I've never really like I've seen clips of the series, or I know like main story beats like Jigsaw, who he is, his apprentices, Detective Hoffman, Amanda, right? Like I'm aware of like the major story elements, and of course the traps, like all the famous ones, like the bear trap, the glass, what is it, the glass bed. Like I know all of these, but really thinking about it, I realized I never actually sat through and watched one in completion. And to say that I had low expectations is an understatement. Being the 10th movie in a franchise, I was like, there's no way this could be any good, right? And shockingly, even reviews, like critical reviews, I believe on IMDb at the time I checked, it had like a 7.1, which for a horror movie is like really good. And I think like Rotten Tomatoes, like the fan reception is like in the 80s, like a 82 or 88. Again, really good. Intrigued me enough. I will admit I watched like a timeline video before, just to refresh my memory, get everything across. And boy, do I gotta say, it was a great film. I really enjoyed it. Spoiler warning, there I am gonna touch on some, so if you don't want to be spoiled, the short and sweet, it was great. I loved it. I liked it enough that I will definitely go back and watch the previous ones, like some of them, because it just, yeah, it was really great, really well done. There is a mid-credit scene, so stay for that. You'll love it. Like, it just, like, finding out the intricacies of the franchise was like, oh, it's really good. I'll give it that it does. I can see why there's been so many. But yeah, so spoiler warning, you've been warned. So I'm aware that John Kramer, Jigsaw, dies in Saw 3, right? And then ever since then, you usually follow one of his many apprentices, whether it's Amanda or Detective Hoffman. I know there was like the doctor guy from the first movie. There was like some military dude. And then Spiral, the one with Chris Rock in it, Saw 8. It's like some Middle Eastern doctor, right? Like there's a lot. There's been a lot of um, Jigsaw disciples, if you want to call them that. Um, yeah, but so that's how the franchise usually goes. So in this one, we start with John Kramer, which I'm like, I know the franchise has done a lot of flashbacks because I think they realized early on that, damn, we shouldn't have killed him off, because they bring him back in like almost every single movie after in a flashback, or like, oh, this person has actually been working with me the whole time, in like Amanda's case, right? Because I know she's introduced in Saw 2, but we know that she was working with him since the events of the first movie happened. And then Hoffman, who's like the main, I would say, villain, he's like the one that's been it the longest. Um, were introduced to him in 4, but we know he was like involved earlier on, and we'll touch on that in a bit. Um, so Kramer's alive, and he's seeking treatment for his cancer. So again, as a first time viewer, you could say, to the franchise, I didn't catch on. I'm like, oh wow, are they really gonna retcon like he lived, right? Of course, now I realize that this is a mid-quill, like a movie that it's not not like other franchises like Halloween 2018, for example, which is those, I don't know what to call them, those sequels. Horror does it a lot, where they ignore everything except the first movie. It's like it's a direct sequel to the first one, and everything else doesn't matter. It's not that, because through the course of the movie, we know it's happens between the events of Saw 1 and Saw 2. Yeah, so this would make this the actual Saw 2, or as I like to call it, Saw 1.5, right? um, so he seeks out treatment in Mexico, this experimental thing. He goes, it doesn't work out. They all lie to him, this little, like, gang, right? Led by this, like, I don't know, she's like a European doctor. And of course, they scam him out of his money. They didn't do any surgery. They were just playing like some tape. And of course, that's the setup for a movie. He goes after them, teach them a lesson. But what I really enjoyed was, I don't know, it was just really good. From my understanding, this movie, we spent a lot more time with John Kramer, Jigsaw, than in other movies, which I could say I really liked because again, I really bought the whole like, oh, okay, like, are they really just gonna like retcon it? He's fine, you know, they're gonna keep using him, but no, he, you know, it didn't work out, and he obviously he got to work. We see him like, I believe in one scene he's prototyping like drawing what would be the bear trap essentially, or what is it, the reverse bear trap. So again, there's clues as like, okay, this takes place before the big giveaway is that he has an assistant who is Amanda, who they give her the same haircut. Now, I guess the elephant in the room is like, yes, it is hard to maybe visually, like, you know, real world logic be like, how does this take place before when the Jigsaw actor's like old as hell. Now, to be fair, he's always been old in these movies, but he's like very old. But if anything, I would say the story, it lends to the story, him being like, he has cancer, terminal cancer, so, you know, him being older kind of sells that more, being like weaker, you know, like the body is like, withering away. So, if anything, it really helps make that more believable. I know Amanda, they give her the same haircut, but facially you can tell she's a little older, but I'll excuse it just because, hey, again, they realized early on that they shouldn't have killed off Kramer in 3, so it's like we gotta keep bringing him back. I'm surprised, and I'll give Saw as a franchise kudos that they've kept it in the real world, right? It's not like Supernatural or he comes back by some, you know, magical way. Like, it's all set in the real world, so I'll give them that. So of course they take care of these victims. Well, I've already given the spoiler warning. Literally no one survives, or it's left open for, I would say, the main like villain, the main doctor, that she turns out to be very cold-blooded. You know, they play along, everyone dies one by one. One girl, Gabriella, survives, who's a drug addict, but you could kind of tell, similar to Amanda, who relates to her, and like you could tell is like trying to help her out. Again, selling the idea that this takes place early in the timeline because Amanda's still not sure of herself. She's figuring things out. John is like telling her like, you know, do you want me to set it up? Kind of be like teaching her. And I will say I love those scenes of just them interacting, like them talking and, you know, just really, and as crazy as it sounds, humanizing them. Like I guess that's where it gets into your moral code, right? Like they're literally serial killers, but they have a moral compass. A great scene with a kid by the name of Carlos. A great like setup and payoff is like earlier Kramer helps him out when he's at the institution where they were gonna do a surgery. He helps the kid like fix his wheel, and he tells him like, how do you say pull in Spanish, right? Which is like jalar, and it's just very genius the way it plays out, and I don't want to give away too much because it was just a very great, like, it was really well done. of course, all the scenes where there's like a big twist of like there's a guy in on it with her, and you think that she's saved, and then they do a great job of like explaining, oh, how did we figure it out, and like just the mastermind that is Jigsaw, really. So if all like the rest of the series is like this, or at least some of them, I know I've heard that some of the later ones really kind of drop the ball, like they're duds. If we have stuff like that, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like I'm all for it. Really well done. And I will touch on the mid credit scene, which is of course there's like a patient. He was in like kind of like a cancer AA, like a anonymous, right, where they're all like a support group. Sorry, they're like a cancer support group, and he's the guy that convinced John to like go get the experimental surgery. They catch him, and then it's revealed that Hoffman is working with him in the original like room of the first Saw, which I'm thinking. So is this implying? Well, it's definitely putting Jigsaw and Detective Hoffman's relationship earlier. But I'm like, if anything, Hoffman was the original apprentice, right? Even before Amanda, because Amanda is like in on it before the first movie, but this one, no, sorry, no, Amanda. I mean, hey, feel free to correct me in the comments. She should still be the first one, the first apprentice, but if anything, it's just tying Hoffman even farther back, I believe. That like, yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah, Hoffman would still be second, but his involvement as an apprentice is just goes way farther back than we thought, which cool to see. Him I recognize because again I know he was like the one that really took over after Jigsaw's eventual death. But like the traps are great, the gore is awesome. Like it's really gross. I will say, I'll just say Valentina, that character, that kill was pretty brutal. And again, I'm a horror fanatic, gore hound, so a little blood and guts doesn't. I'm pretty desensitized, but I will say that kill in particular does a really good job of like getting under your skin, which is with Saw movies, torture porn, right? Is what you want. You want it to be gross, and they do a great job. Seriously, a really great time as someone who, and I'm being honest here, has never really sat down and watched a Saw movie before. This was a great one to pick, and for it to be the 10th movie says a lot. If I had to give it a number rating, I'm honestly like a solid, I'd say between like a 8, 9, maybe like a 8.5, right in the middle. It's really great. I mean, it is in perfect cinema, and I do believe people familiar with the franchise, you'll probably catch on to the things much faster or that sort of thing. But as a first time viewer, I'll say, yeah, it was just like, wow, really great and intriguing enough to check out like the previous movies. And it gives you like a newfound context, right? Of like, oh, so they were with them the whole time. And I don't know if the directors were like that, like planning ahead that they put small details to be like, oh, okay, maybe she, like Amanda, like hints that she was working with him while she was a overseer or like part of the game and Saw 2, things like that. It's just the curiosity is there to go back. So yeah, good stuff. Again, Saw X, check it out. 2 thumbs up, really great. But yeah, guys, those are my thoughts. I mean, you let me know what you think. Let me know how wrong I am, or hey, maybe you agree. If you like this type of content, I make new videos usually twice a week. So please be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good jazz. And as always, everyone, I've been your host, Oxy. Take care, and I'll see you next time.